Uh-oh. Let's see. It's Saturday. It's Saturday night. Hopefully some of y'all Beaverines know what this means. Welcome to Prepper Nation. I am John. Thank you very much for being here. I know, Saturday night. I kind of miss doing this. You know what? For the time being, we may actually make this a Saturday night ritual. What do y'all think? Let me know in the comments. I had to run the shotgun Saturday night deal. I had not seen it in a while. Thank you for being here. Thank you for shooting a thumbs up, hitting subscribe. Thank you to the awesome moderators. It has been a week, has it not? So I want to give you a quote really quick, and this came a few days back. I want to say Thursday afternoon, okay? It could have been Wednesday. I would have to go back and check, but this is when Trump had to fly into D.C. He had to drive. He had to go in front of a judge, and he had to say not guilty. And as he's coming out of the courthouse, this is just part of the quote. He gave like a 2-minute quote, but this is very important, and we're going to dig into it tonight, son. If you can't beat him, persecute him or prosecute him. That's what we're going to be talking about tonight, and what's actually going on. What does all of this stuff mean? I wanted to talk about it yesterday, but we had other fish to fry, so to speak. So one of the most recent polls that we did here at Prepper Nation for the live crowd was, do you still vote? Do you think it's important? Does it really matter anymore? And the overwhelming majority of the live chat said, yeah, they still vote. They still intend to vote. They're not going to let them steal it, at least without trying. You know, they're not just going to hand it to them. So we do have to talk about this tonight. That's why we're covering this. I get it. Some of you do not vote. Some of you do not believe in the system. You think it's rigged. You think it's going to be stolen anyway. What's the point? I totally get it. And I think I respect your opinion on that. You know what I'm saying? But again, a majority of the last live crowd that we had here at Prepper Nation feels otherwise. So we do need to dig into it, and it's distraction. All right? If you're in a hurry, there you go. It's distraction. You can go ahead and click off the video and go do whatever. You can go buy one of these pods that Beasley has back here that was flashing in the intro. I'll leave it down in the video description below, as well as pin a comment. They're very cheap. They're handy to keep in your car, and they're awesome going camping. But I digress. Here's the thing. All right. Here's what I care about. I'm going to give you all a top 5 list. As somebody that lives in the United States, somebody that's probably still going to go through the whole rigmarole. That's a big word, right? Rigmarole. I guess I'm saying it right. Of the voting. These are 5 things that I care about. These are at the top of the list for me. Let me know what your top 5 list is in the comments, okay? Number 1, the borders here in the United States. So I'm a bit of a hardliner on this, and I get it. You know, some people have said, you know, how dare you? To quote the great Greta Thunberg, how dare you have this viewpoint on it? But I would immediately close the borders. I'm giving you this top 5 list because this is what I want to hear candidates talking about. All right, the borders. Lock it down. I want to see you go through the United States. I want to see you catch everybody that is snuck in, boot them out. This is how I would deal with it. Now, the one exception would be DACA. These are people that came in as kids. They didn't have, you know, they didn't decide to cross the border. Their parents snuck them in. So they're here, but they've always been, you know, in the United States. I think that needs to be handled differently. But no, people that sneak across need to go back where they came from. And I would love to hear candidates talk about that. I would love to hear candidates talk about the economy. The economy sucks, bro. Let me just say that again. The economy sucks in 2023. Constantly having to think about, worry about groceries. Where am I going to be able to get the best deal possible? How much more of groceries went up this week? This is something, I don't care where you're at politically, this is something that's affecting everybody. Gas prices, utility prices. My utilities have went up here to Ponderosa, but I've heard some horror stories in chat about utilities tripling, quadrupling, even worse than that. Insurance going up and stuff like this. It's ridiculous. The economy, something needs to be done about it. And I would love to hear candidates talking about that on the campaign trail, because we've got just over a year until this presidential election takes place. Number 3, and I've said this previously, but I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to continue to say it until we see it. COVID and whiskey shot accountability. Nuremberg 2.0, as I like to call this. So when the C-19 originated, there was panic. A lot of bad stuff was going on. A lot of finger pointing. A lot of promises of, hey, just take one of these and you can return to normal. Nobody knew really what was going on because there was just mass confusion. But now we know. Now we pretty much know that we were lied to about the origins of, the C-19 to begin with. Now we know the whiskey shots were instituted with nefarious purposes. People were up to no good. They were out to make a buck. Now we know some of the damage that was done on the backs of these promises, and these people remain scot-free. A lot of Americans got messed up because of this. A lot of Americans died because of either the C-19, which in my opinion, having looked at what I've looked at, I think was engineered, not just some random occurrence. And the whiskey shot, most definitely engineered, and it's messed a lot of people up. We need some accountability. We need candidates who are willing to stand up and say, look, we cannot forget about this. This is a huge issue with the presidential election. Number 4, World War III. Please stop funding it. Please stop sending troops. Please do not get us entangled into another European World War. It's pointless. It's senseless. We can't afford it. I want to hear candidates say that, rather than candidates talking about stuff that really doesn't matter. We're going to get into that. Number 5, I want to see something finally done about the swamp. And this is probably the biggest reason that I voted for Trump in the past. All right, I don't think he's the second coming. I don't think he's the savior of mankind. I'm not in the cult, so to speak. I'm not going to follow the man off of a cliff. But I really do think he's going against the swamp, and he has. I want to see term limits. I want to see presidential candidates stand up and say, I'm going to put term limits into place, or age limits. We cannot have Feinsteins being carried in to just, create the laws of the land, so to speak. It's ridiculous. I mean, it is ridiculous, and something needs to be done. The IRS needs to be gone. All of the like the NSA, for example, they need to be gone. All of these SS type programs here in the United States, we got to get rid of them. They've been weaponized. I want to hear candidates talking about this. But no, they're not going to talk about this. Because here's what's going on, and here's why I said we're seeing distractions in the news. Of course we are. Mainstream media is pretty much nothing but a distraction. But the problem is, most of the people here in the United States are gaslit. Most of the people here in the United States are looking at the newest, shiniest thing. We know this, right? So when you charge Trump with something, it doesn't matter if it sticks or not. I said what I said. Doesn't matter if this man goes to prison or not, at least to me as a voter. Because whether or not he goes to prison or not, does not affect my gas prices, my grocery prices now. It does absolutely nothing to hold people accountable for the C-19 and the whiskey shot now. It does nothing to help veterans and the homeless epidemic that we have right now. It does nothing to seal the borders right now. It's a dog and pony show. They charge him with something, and guess what, folks? They don't care if it sticks. All they're doing is charging Donald Trump or President Trump, whatever you choose to call the man. They're throwing all kinds of charges on him because every single time that they do, they own the news cycle. And this forces Donald Trump to go out to speak and to spend half of his time talking about the charges. It's a witch hunt, is what I'm trying to say. It is persecution. I would agree with him. He's the leading political candidate right now over Joe Biden. Even in left-leaning polls, he's slightly above Joe Biden there. But I mean, the polls are polls. They're going to slant one way or another. But I'm saying the left and the right-wing polls are all pointing to Donald Trump, saying this man is going to win. They don't want him talking about real issues. They don't want to give the man enough time to talk about the important things. And the GOP, I don't know if this is by design because they're deep state. I don't know if it's just because the GOP is stupid. I'm not GOP. I'm right in the middle, right? But now you have DeSantis. You have the other front runners. Nikki Haley, I don't think she's a front runner, but she's kind of in the mix. You know what I'm saying? Mike Pence. Now you have them, rather than talking about real issues, they're talking about Donald Trump's court hearing. You understand what I'm saying? The swamp has thrown these charges against Donald Trump. It is an election strategy to control the narrative from now until November. We should be talking about Biden's health. Straight up. The man is staggering off stages. He's staggering out of interviews. He doesn't know where he's at. He's got people saying, come this way, sir. Come this way. Here, let me help you walk. You know, let's put the whatever it's called on the plane, the sliding board, the blow-up sliding board. Let's get you down this way. His health is an issue. That's not a partisan statement on my part. The man is not capable of doing it again for 4 more years or 5 years or whatever. It's crazy. We should be talking about the fact that Kamala Harris is extremely underqualified for the job that she has. Anytime this lady is asked a real question, she smiles, she giggles, she throws the word salad out, she dances around it, she never answers anything, and she's out the door, so to speak. She's not qualified for the job, and yet she is running again for vice president of the United States. This is an issue to me. Getting back to our vets, they needed to be treated better right now. Not come November, now. We need to demand better for our veterans right now. That was the promise from day one. And they're being crapped on by this administration, by Congress, the entire swamp. All of D.C., they couldn't give 2 rats rear ends, and it sucks. All right? We should be talking about the drug epidemic, and again, the homeless epidemic. These people are forgotten about. It seems like here in Joe's America. They're strung out on drugs, you kick them some more drugs. You tell them to play nice. I mean, it's just, we've got so many real issues in this country that we should be talking about. But no, mainstream media, they're talking about Trump's hair. Yesterday, one of the big stories was the courtroom artists, whatever they're called, because no cameras were allowed in when Trump stood there to plead not guilty with his attorney. The sketch artist, I think is what they're called. They said, well, the sketch artist didn't really do a good job. Is this seriously the biggest issue we have in our country right now? You're going to complain about a sketch artist. Are you kidding me right now? We have real problems here in the United States of America that we need to be talking about. It's just an election strategy to distract people so they don't remember. So the average American doesn't remember what happened during the C-19 and doesn't remember that they were lied to blatantly by Big Pharma. You got played, son. If that was you, you got played. It is what it is. You know, they don't want you to remember that your job was dangled in front of your face, or maybe you lost your job, or maybe you lost your doctor, or maybe you couldn't do this or couldn't do that for nothing. Nobody's held accountable. Take a look. Take a long look. I don't care what side of the eagle you're on, the left wing, the right wing, the same bird, it don't matter. Take a long, hard look at President Joe Biden, his entire body of work. From the day he came into office until now, and tell me any sane person, any thinking individual out there could possibly vote for 4 more years. I want to know what kind of world you have to be living in to vote for this man again. And people will say, well, the election was stolen. Look, maybe. Maybe. I don't have concrete evidence of that. But I do know that some people voted for Joe Biden. There are people out there that did vote for the man. I can tell you that much. Their hatred for Donald Trump led them to vote for Joe Biden. Horrible choice. They knew it. People will say, it doesn't matter about the voting. They'll just steal the election. And again, I respect your point. Fair point. What I'm telling you this morning, they don't have to steal the election because they have an entire nation gaslit and preoccupied with stupid media stories. Everybody's wrapped up in whether or not Hunter Biden goes to prison or not. Everybody's wrapped up in Donald Trump and his court cases, right? And all of his charges, not all of his indictments, whatever. And what I'm asking you this morning, what does that have to do with your next grocery bill? How does that help you the next time you have to pay for medication or put gas in the tank? How does this help our situation at the border right now? It doesn't. It's all a distraction, folks. Focus on the real issues. Because focus on the VP. While I'm saying focus on the real issues, yes, but also the vice presidents who are running, okay? Because Joe Biden, he's not going to make it another 4 or 5 years, Maybe he'll still be with us on planet Earth, in theory, but he's not coherent enough. He's not going to make it through a second term. If this man gets elected, selected, or steals it, he's not making it another 4 years. They can't hide it. And the vice president will take over. And that should scare you. Kamala Harris as president of the United States should be the number one issue right now. Nothing else really matters. We cannot allow that to happen. Folks, this is John with Prepper Nation. Y'all have a blessed rest of the weekend.